Welcome to the round table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host Mike Hill, and we have Nick Wilson, who I think has a camera on him.
A camera,
but he doesn't have the pictures up on the screen where we can be looking at him.
Oh,
like when the TVs are turned on, we can always look over there and see.
So we don't know what kind of faces he's making.
True. Okay, Nick, you have till Thursday to fix that. And then our guests today are Chane Barnard and Ryan Knoll.
Yes.
So I am so happy to have you guys on here. We have been talking since November. They were in South Africa for a while, so we had to wait till they came back, but they are here. So yeah, so your story is pretty amazing, and I had seen it on Facebook when your sister had posted it and your nieces and stuff, and I thought, wow, we got to have you on here because this is pretty cool. So we're going to kind of start at the beginning, because life wasn't always peachy keen, and you all have a past, and so both of your stories I think are somewhat similar. So there was addiction and divorce and depression and all this stuff before you found Jesus. So let's kind of talk about what that life was like. Then we'll talk about how Jesus came into it, and then what you're doing now, which is really cool. So I don't, whoever wants to start that.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank you for having the opportunity to be here and have a platform to speak our journey and our testimony from. And we really love what you're doing here. We catch your podcast from time to time, and it's just cool to see what God's doing through this ministry, through this building, and through the hearts of the people here. So thank you for that. But in the beginning.
That's a great way to start it.
So we were both kind of on our own parallel journeys with God at the time that we met. And those journeys started prior to our meeting, and they both kind of started with finally a incident that happened in our lives that brought us to the point where we went, man, I just can't do this anymore. I can't do it on my own anymore. I don't even want to do it on my own anymore. I've done it wrong so many times. I'll speak on addiction because addiction was really my thing, and I was a happy drunk. So I never struggled with that depression part of addiction. But, addiction was the cover-up for everything, It was the go-to in my life. And at the end of the day, again, at the age of 43, life had fallen apart for me, and I had to take a real hard look myself in the mirror and go, wow, I am the most common denominator of everything that's gone wrong in my life. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so I've read a lot of self-help books. Right. A lot of times you can't see the forest through the trees, You're good at diagnosing everybody but yourself. So taking that hard look and going, wow, actually, I need help. I can't do this on my own. And because of my past with church, I went to a small Baptist school, kindergarten through 6th grade, and then I completely rejected God and just didn't have anything to do with Him or Christianity up until just a few years ago. So at the age of 43, I went, okay, I'm not going to find any answers at the church. There's no answers at the church, So I ended up going to an AA meeting, and because I knew that I needed to get a handle on the drinking, and God meets you right where you're at. And when my feet hit the steps of that first AA meeting, there was a couple of old timers sitting there on the porch of this house, and they said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I didn't realize how I was doing, but right at that moment, I just completely fell apart. And there was where God met me in the heart of these two old timers and picked me up, turned me around, set my feet on solid ground. Boy, when I hear the words of that song, I just go, wow, man, that's so powerful, and it's so true, and it's exactly what happened for me. And it's it's not all peachy keen to surrender, but it started right there. And from that day forward, I just woke up every day and went, God, give me enough light to see the next step in front of me. Give me enough light. It's all yours. It's whatever you want to do here. And, a year later was when, it was a little over a year after that Shanae and I had met. So that's my background, and I'll let you go ahead with yours.
It feels like it's like such a long story to get through, but it feels
And a
like
long time ago.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago. Just the way that God picks you up and turns you around to be in a place where we keep saying we look back, it's like a movie that we've watched, but we're totally new creations. We're not the same anymore. We don't feel the same. We don't look the same. We don't act the same. Yeah. And so my background was also just struggling with depression, but a very long marriage that was not good for either party. And I didn't realize I was struggling with depression. It was like a deep, dark hole that just keeps sucking you in. And also the marriage was ending, and I came to breaking point. And in that, I also realized, like, I can't do this on my own. And for the first time, I reached out, and I got help as well. And it's just amazing how still gets you, because it's such a real place to be, where you're finally at a place of surrender. And in that place, God's able to work with you. And as soon as you go like, okay, I got help now, I know what's happening, I know what's going on, and you're still in a place where you feel like you can do it on your own. Like, I'm going to self-help, and I'm going to stand up and write down my whatever I'm thankful for, my gratitude journal. Yeah. And then God just starts, like, he reveals things to us. He peels back the layers, and he just keeps working at us. And my complete turning point, where I finally got out of the marriage, got divorced, I was still in that place of loneliness. And God just said, like, I was lying on the bed, and I was thinking, like, who will ever love me? And he said, I will love you. I love you like this. I love you. And it's just amazing how when you give everything up, he starts pouring his love and his blessings over you. And in the time that we met, I was in such a beautiful place with God. Like, you're so full, you're so whole. And I was in a community, an online community, where, like, I was praying for, and like, our parallel story is amazing, because we were both praying for a family, like a kingdom community where you can learn and grow and edify one another, encourage one another. And so God kind of like pushed me into this community where I started then working for this online company, and how he put us together, because I was like, I don't want anything to do with men. I was married for 13 years, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. This is me and my Papa in heaven's time. Now I'm going to learn who I am, what my identity in Christ was. And so God put me in this community, like miracle after miracle, because I would never even do a voice note on a phone, let alone speak in front of a camera. And this community basically encouraged us to find your voice and start speaking in front of people. And my job was basically to onboard their customers buying into the company. So I would help you through the motions and all the systems and stuff. And God put this guy in front of me the one day. And I had so many calls that day. I've worked with so many people. I think at that time you were like my 45th call with customers coming in. So I didn't think anything of it. Like, I was on my journey. And when we put the phone down, it was just a normal working call. Like, I went through all the systems that you had to do, all business. Put the phone down, and I was just like, what's going on here? And I couldn't get his face out of my mind. And God just kept putting us together. We had like a challenge online, and I was coordinating the challenges. So I had his faces on my screen the whole time. And we came together in all the Zoom meetings. We'd be like right next to one another.
And literally, it's crazy. In a Zoom meeting of 50 people, bam, there I am right next to Shanae again.
It was so crazy.
Explain the whole online community thing. Like, so this was a community for...
So the name of the business is Kingdom Warriors, and they were like a cryptocurrency type company, but they dealt in NFTs, which is an online asset. Okay. So we sold NFTs, and as you sell NFTs, you have utilities that come with that, and one of the utilities was this online community of Kingdom people.
Creatives. I mean, this is a group of
poets,
Kingdom creatives.
So
people that...
people.
People were tired are tired of what they're seeing in Hollywood and music and entertainment and video games. And so they're a group of Christian creatives that came together and decided it's time to take back territory for the kingdom. in the area of arts and entertainment. So their vehicle of investment was NFTs or non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the way I got into it is because, I told my mom, I think I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of silver and bury it in the backyard. Like I don't trust the banks right now. I don't trust the real estate, the real estate market. I don't trust any of it. And like a week later, my mom goes, "Hey, I think I got something that you might be interested in."
Right.
Your mom. My mom.
Your mom was doing non-fungible.
Oh, she just saw an interview with a guy that was Eric Skeldon, the owner of Kingdom Warriors. So she saw an interview with this guy, and she goes, "This might be something you might be interested in." So essentially, you buy these NFTs, and they are kind of like a cryptocurrency type of investment, but it's the vehicle for them to raise money to do certain things with. So
when you get in the community, I mean, this is probably getting off the subject. What do you do?
They had a number of Facebook challenges where they had speakers, different pastors, and
Kingdom business, kingdom health, and wealth, and so what the challenges and the different speakers they would get would be to a certain theme, and people would just we put them in groups, and then they have this fun challenge, and you have to all work together to get the prize at the end of the day. But what it became to us was a church family.
Yes,
but it was online. So we had our groups, and our teams became prayer groups.
And absolutely.
Just a place where you can go I have this problem, can you guys pray for me? And everyone came together, and online on Facebook, you're praying for one another.
Right.
And so we literally found our church home like that, and we didn't know that we would come together like that.
So where were you living at the time? Where you were in
South Africa.
And where were you?
South Whitley.
Okay, that's what I thought you were across.
And literally, both of us were praying for a community of people of like-minded individuals to plug into, in order to worship and grow and glean from. And
we were both in the beginning of our walk with God, our personal journey with getting to know God. So we were really praying for a community that was going to encourage us and teach us in the ways that we felt God was revealing to us what it's all about. And we couldn't find that in a church in our areas.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think this is a good moment for people to think through when it comes to how are we going to move forward in the next 20 years, right? Because I think it's different. People that are coming to know Christ aren't always flocking to the church, because a lot of times there aren't answers. But just like that, Nick going through this whole idea of how do you create an online community? And the question is always the same. Well, it can't really be real. You can't really have prayer, you can't really have community. The idea is get together and then come to the church, where you guys are saying the church was the community via online.
And it's mind-blowing because it was literally, I was walking in answered prayers before I realized, I was like, oh my gosh. I was praying for a community of people. I pictured it in my mind being in my own community, in real life. I never even fathomed. I'm not a video gamer. I'm not a big social media-ite. I'm not so to be plugged into, all of a sudden I'm plugged into this community, and next thing you know, I'm going live and doing Facebook challenges on social media was not anywhere. But you know what? I was willing to. I was in a place of surrender. I was willing to do whatever.
I just think it's cool to see
that
it actually can happen, and a big part of your story is because of your online community.
It is, and we still have those friends till today. So we're no longer part of actively in the community, but we still have our friends we pray with, and we have actually visited a bunch of them here in the U.S. when I came over the last time, and it is amazing because it is like a church. You come to a building, so your online community would be your building, and you meet people. You don't know their background or their walk of life, but you start growing together in just a place where you feel safe because you can feel the Holy Spirit moving in the community.
Right.
And when you walk into a place, you can feel that or not. And so in this community, our teams that became our close friends and our prayer warriors, it was literally like someone would send a message on Facebook Messenger, oh, I'm going through this and this. Can you guys please pray?
Right.
And the way that we were encouraged, like Crystal, I want to say my best friend, my BB. We call ourselves battle babes because you shoot a message, the next minute everyone's voice note praying over the messenger on Facebook. So it's not just a passing by in church like, oh, I'll pray for you, and you forget about it when you get home. We literally came to a place of obedience where if someone's asking or crying out for help, we get on there and we pray for one another. And then the testimony starts coming in.
Right.
And this is 4,000 people that are a part of this community that represent about 83 different nations or so.
Wow.
Right.
So, you know,
I just think it's incredible. It's a good thing to be reminded of is there's alternate ways to create communities of believers that can be seriously powerful.
I never thought I'd end up in one like that. I never knew it existed. Never knew what an NFT was either. I had no idea. But that story really does segue into the next is how did this come about? And it really kind of started about the same time as the shoe. Because I had inadvertently started calling this style of shoes Yo-Dads several years ago, before sobriety. And I kind of renamed them with my friends and family. Like, we just started calling them Yo-Dads. And, you know, I don't know if it was, I do know, in my mind, all I can hear is the words of my niece, Kaysen, because she kept after me about it. You should start this company. It could be like Jeremy's Razors. It could, you know, it could be the the big company, you know? And actually, we were walking into this church probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe.
It's about that.
Yeah, probably a year and a half ago. And Kaysen goes, yeah, but you really should do it. You should really do it. Like, imagine what it would look like,
right?
You know? And it was like, God turned something on through the prophetic words of this 15-year-old girl in my head right there. And I went, well, maybe it could work. Next thing you know, I was in one of these Zoom meetings, and one of the guys in the Zoom meeting, actually the founder of Kingdom Warriors, he said, if you have any ideas for marketplace solutions, web stuff, services, even products, God is downloading into his people right now solutions for all these things. And I went, oh, wait, that's me. And then after that Zoom meeting, I was sitting on the shores of Lake Erie at the time. It was my birthday last year, my 44th birthday. And I went fishing up there by myself. And I was sitting on the shore of Lake Michigan praying because I had like 15 minutes till another Zoom meeting I wanted to get on. And I said, God, I don't know anything about a shoe. I don't know how to make one. I don't know how to market one. Heck, I don't even know how. I couldn't even draw one if you asked me to. I can't even draw a stick figure. And I said, I'm going to leave this in your hands. You're going to have to show me exactly what to do with this. 10 minutes later, I get on another Zoom meeting. And this guy, Timothy Morgan, that was running it, he decides that this small group of people, we're going to tell each other about ourselves. And he starts with Shanae, but she was like running the meeting.
I was so shocked because, as you said, I was coordinating the whole Zoom meeting. So I was in the background, like putting in links and doing, all the stuff that you need to do and getting the Facebook stuff ready and all. And he goes, Shanae, tell us about yourself. I'm like, wait, let me unmute myself. Where's the unmute button?
And so she tells her story about how she got into Kingdom Warriors. And then he goes, yeah, that's all good. But no. Tell us who are you, Shanae? Like, tell us about you. And she goes, well, I'm a textile designer.
Oh, wow.
And you can imagine my surprise. I went, whoa. And we had already talked a little bit. And so after that meeting, I, of course, called her. And I was like, hey, listen, this might sound crazy, but I think I'm supposed to tell you about this. And then from that, this sparked, and we're now going to get married in the next 90 days. She's here on a K-1 visa, which we just were able to get. So, I would have married her a year ago, but you have to wait for the government to catch up. And
so we could do the show 90 Day Fiancé or something.
Yes.
Like that.
I'm hearing a lot about that.
I've never seen that, but people keep bringing that up.
I've only watched it maybe once or twice. That's not my thing.
Yes,
but it's kind of interesting.
People keep bringing that up. So that's the path we're on now, and it started there with an idea. And every time we ran into what felt like a closed door, we just prayed about it and forgot about it, left it, and the door would open, and it just led one thing after another, a word from this person, a phone call with that person that's been in the industry, and we were kind of at a dead end with the idea, and we had started to build like a slide deck around it, but we had really concentrated on a slide deck for another idea that was a school mission in her country. And it was all based around a property that we'd seen for sale. And it was just like this whole idea of a school mission type of thing came, and we built a slide deck around it, and we presented it to a guy. And then I ended up having a conversation with a guy and telling him I had this idea for a school mission thing and this idea for this shoe. And I told him about both of them. And at the end of the conversation, he goes, I always tell people you should either focus on an idea that affects 1 million people or focus on an idea that makes $1 million. And he goes, it sounds to me like you might have an idea that can make $1 million that could fund the idea that'll reach 1 million people. And that's when the switch went, oh, wow, this is a fundraising opportunity, not a money-making, not a profit-making opportunity. Right. And we had also had a dinner with some missionaries while we were there. And like literally from the ground, the missionaries are like, well, the problem is it always turns into a fundraising thing. Like the problem is there's never a shortage of need, but it always becomes a how do we fund it thing. So, so enter the idea of Yo Dads, and, to come alongside and to come alongside a church and be able to market, do a sales drive, and then sow the money into whatever missions, both locally. We're all about locally. The first place that we were able to sow into was her local church in Claymont. So, that's kind of what we're looking at.
It is exciting how God just keeps peeling back the layers. Because we had the mission idea where we would just fund a mission that we felt God showing us. And then as we were in my country in South Africa, we basically saw that every church has a bunch of missions that they're already working at raising funds for. And so when we sowed into Christ Gen Kleinmond, we basically saw, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just go to a church, share our testimony, and as we sell, because everyone wanted to choose after our first interview, and we didn't have enough stock in South Africa. But as we sell, it's a way to you literally walking on earth, taking back kingdom territory, and you're sowing into the churches that we attend, and they can then use that for whichever mission they're busy with at the moment. And just to see the ripples of the waves, like how it's impacting so many people. And we're sitting here thinking I'm not even qualified to speak to people about anything, it's just sharing our testimony. And we never thought either of us would ever be able to do anything like that. So it's amazing to get the feedback and just see the difference that it's already making.
Yeah, I don't know what your points are, but I have a lot of questions. So do you want to get...
Go.
This is the best.
Yeah, so conceptually, from a business model standpoint. So the idea is and it could really be anything, but why shoes?
Because that's the idea that God gave me.
Okay.
Yo,
Yeah.
dads.
So there isn't
And
anything.
And there's a scripture that's behind that too.
Yes.
Deuteronomy something.
Deuteronomy 11:24, wherever the soles of your feet go, it's yours. And I also believe that the name Yo Dad is exactly where I was at in my life. It came in a period where I cried out to God, Yo Dad, I need your help. Like, I can't do this on my own. Right. So, why the shoes?
No, I mean, again, I think that because the importance of everything from a business standpoint is that, you create this momentum behind a movement of something and not just another product on the market.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and so that's why I said, when you're thinking about the shoes, there's tons of shoes, but there's very few with a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I wondered, like, why the shoe? And I mean, you're explaining some of that behind it. I just didn't know if it was a business model, like you can have more margin in a shoe than you can have in a shirt, or more margin in a, but.
There is definitely not that much thought behind it. Like, literally.
Nothing.
No, I have.
We were just, yes,
no,
God, okay,
yes,
if you want us to do this.
Not that much thought behind it. And this kind of leads to one of the other points we wanted to make, and that is, like, God is speaking to his people. We're in a mess right now. We're in a mess right now. I'm just going to say that out loud. We are, as a country, as a people, as a... all the nations are. Right. And we are very apostate from God. And where we put our money every day, what we consume as Christians, I didn't cover that. But one of the first things I did a week into sobriety was I shot my TV with my 12-gauge shotgun in a Facebook post.
Sounds great to me.
On
TV.
Is this on your Facebook?
On my Facebook.
We can go see it today.
Yes.
Yeah, and I literally said, listen, I wish I would have gotten rid of this propaganda machine for me and my family a long, long time ago. And that is the single best thing I've ever done for myself, because what I did, and she didn't shoot her TV, but she did something much the same way, and I'll let you speak to that because I think it's profound. First of all, we have to renew our mind by the power of his word. So I completely cut myself off from anything secular. And I was blessed with a mother that's a fervent prayer. And the fervent prayers of a righteous mother, I feel like they really pay off. Yeah. They really pay off. So she was able to start dripping things out to me. And I'd watch this sermon. I'd read this scripture. I read this book, that book. And literally, this didn't just come about all at once. Like, it was a complete changing of diet, of consumption, I consumed with my mind. And we really are in a battle of good versus evil, and it's a battle for the mind. So I'll just let you speak on your part there, how you came to the realization of changing your diet.
Pretty amazing, because I also just started my journey with God in that personal getting to know him, but I still consumed anything crime scene investigation type, murders and all the FBI, CSIs, everything. And I watched it continuously, binge watched over and over again, because I'm a crafter, designer, so I work with my hands a lot and I have time to listen to stuff. And I was doing a project on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. And so I consumed a lot of that type of stuff. And Holy Spirit just convicted me in that moment. He's like, are you worshiping Sherlock Holmes or are you worshiping me? And I was like, oh, wow. Put the TV off, closed the project, haven't touched it ever since. It's about 3 years ago. And I also, in that time, was starting to read the Bible a lot more, which I didn't do at all previously, although I grew up in a Christian home and you're taught to read your Bible. I just never did. And I came across the word that which you consume, you are, or you become. And I realized, like, I'm consuming all this murder stuff. I can, like, kill someone and make the body disappear with everything that I've watched.
You know the plan.
Yeah. And
do you sleep with your eyes open, right?
No, I have the peace that passes all understanding.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But it's crazy if you think about it, how many, especially women, like watching all these things. And in that, I decided to shoot my TV, and that I never watched any of that stuff again or listened to any of that stuff again, and started consuming kingdom sermons, teachings, series of like how to find your identity in Christ. And so things that would fill me with the word, and that which you consume, you become. And it does when you renew your mind, God renews your heart, and it changes everything in the way you live.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mess for a second.
Yes.
I have an opinion.
So that leads into this next point. Like, we know Christians are starving for good content. Like, we know that Christians get behind things like the Sound of Freedom. We can see that. And we definitely feel like we're in a time where God is giving his people ideas for alternative ecosystems, for parallel economies. Let's just think about one of the most common places that people go for their coffee. Let's look at the symbolism in just the logo of that place.
You mean you're not going to call them out? Just go ahead and say it.
Yeah, Starbucks.
Yeah. I I already know what you're saying. I mean, you might as well just say it.
And that's where we are as a people right now. We are apostate. We have created other gods, many other gods, and God's waking up inside of people, and I know that he's doing it to a lot of people. It's not just me. You know, I was circling around that drunkard mountain for a lot of years. You know, I thought I was having a lot of fun, but God reached down and grabbed a hold of me. He said, it's time. It's time for you to come work for me. Right. You know, and I just can't help but think that he's doing that for a lot of people right now. And we're in such a mess right now, Mike, that only God could be the answer to awaken in the hearts of people. And I just know with everything in me that he's got people placed in all mountains, in all the 7 mountains. I mean, there's people in government, there's people in business, there's people in education, and that light's getting turned on. And they're going, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have pornography in the school libraries.
Right.
Ooh, maybe we shouldn't be doing this with our government money. Ooh, maybe we shouldn't be a part of a central banking system.
Yeah, but for me, there's this line that we've always talked about, and I can't ever figure it out. Like the idea that as a Christian, it's not just what we consume with our eyes; it's what we consume with our money that supports the evil
absolutely.
Of the world. Right.
Absolutely.
So I just can't ever figure out. Like we had somebody come and do a presentation in youth one time to a bunch of different people on. If you buy, I think it was Hershey's chocolate, I might say it wrong, but how it causes slavery around the world because you're putting these people into, but there is a choice for free trade chocolate, right? Like if you do this and you're not. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. So I'm like, we need to put that stuff out at the cafe. Like the people that come in here ought to buy on, that stuff molded. There wasn't anybody buying it. Like, why would you choose to buy something for slavery instead of buying something for the future, right? And like why can't we change consumer mindsets to purchase with purpose, right? Like why is it so difficult? If you are a Christian, shouldn't be part of our purchasing be on purpose to support kingdom work instead of to support evil? Why can't we get there? I mean, that's
can I be honest?
Just throw it out there.
Because the church has believed a lie for so many years. Okay. And that is, we shouldn't talk about religion and politics outside the church. And this is exactly what happens when you don't talk about religion and politics. Okay. I think we've been asleep at the wheel, and I think it's a real Nineveh moment right now. Like, this story of Jonah, it's profound, man. Like, this guy is the representation of the church. Yeah. And instead of following after what God was calling him to do, let's say we're the church, we're Noah. instead of following after what God told him to do, go warn the people of Nineveh.
Right.
You got to go warn them.
Right.
And instead he got on the boat.
He's like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Well, right now, I think even the rocks are crying out, you know, because even regular society is like, oh my gosh, we got a problem here. And so like the guards or like the other people on the boat of Nineveh, as the storm was blowing in, they're going, we've got a problem. We've got a problem.
Yeah, but I think the problem is they look to the wrong place to fix it. You know, so I would agree with the standpoint of the idea that we need to make decisions politically that can change the landscape of what happened. But everyday purchasing decisions will change the world.
Yes, they were.
They just will change
absolutely.
the world. Everyday purchase decisions will put these other things out of business. I mean, it will move the needle in ways that, I mean, everything's driven by the almighty dollar.
It is.
Either for good or for evil. And if everyday purchasing decisions by a Christian, if we just said this, okay, here's what's going to change. I will not give my money to that which promotes evil. And I will start shifting that, even if I have to pay $1 more or $2 more or $3 more. I'm going to do it because we're going to move the needle. And yes, politically, some things have to change, because I would agree with it. Like, we need to do that. But if we would just make this one step, put your faith and your money, you know, into the things that are going to make a difference in the world, I think you could shift it tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
I mean, tomorrow. And I can't figure out why we can't.
I love that, because so that's a decision both of us had made long time ago. And we also learned that our money is seed. And so you tithe, which is different, but it's also sowing into something you believe in. But we're sowing into the kingdom of God when we tithe. So whenever we do anything with our finances, we want to know that this seed is going into good soil.
Right.
And so we both made that decision a long time ago, is that anytime we buy something, we want to know that it's not, the funds aren't going to slavery or going to trafficking or
you're sowing
any of
it
those
into
things.
something that's
And that's a lot easier said than done, because once you start really doing a lot of research, you know, Larry Fink,
everything's terrible.
Larry Fink and BlackRock owns 60% of everything. So, I mean, you know, Larry Fink and BlackRock.
What is that?
Owns 60.
Oh, we could get on a
I was going to say, never mind.
This is a whole nother podcast.
Never mind. I'm going to act like she didn't say that.
Like the Starbucks logo. I don't like Starbucks. I don't go there. But I'm just like, what is the Starbucks logo? I mean, what is that? So
it's a Greek. Is it a Greek? It's one of the Greek
I think
gods.
so, but it's a mermaid.
It's a mermaid. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so naive to all of this stuff. So
well, and so we could have a whole show on just the idea of purchasing to companies that are supporting absolute evil in the world. And I think that's a perfect way to look at it, is our money is sowing something. That's the misconception is that your money is just transactions. No, money is sowing into good, or money is sowing into evil. And so our decisions have to be to sow, because I think part of the misconception on sowing is, so I'm going to give my money, and I'm going to sow into a mission organization. So I have my tithe money and I have my sowing money. I'm like, it's all money. Every dollar, penny that you spend is sowing into something. Tithing
and it's not just money. Right. It's your time, it's your talent, it's your,
But you know what I mean? Like, tithe money is like, I trust you. The rest of the money, I mean, it's always in it, but the rest of the money is sowing money. Every bit.
Every bit of it.
Back
the other 90%.
Yeah.
And so when we purchase anything, we are financially partnering with that person or company and with their values, because you're sowing into that company. So you're partnering with what they're doing and what they believe in. So when we're purchasing something and it goes against all our moral values, we're partnering with something that we do not want to be partnered with. And so that's also a decision we've made. And that is the whole thing behind Yo Dads, is that you're partnering with the kingdom.
This was also a big, her and I wrestled with this. Manufacture them in China or not do it at all.
Yeah, no.
Because other than that, like, yes, we can get a second mortgage on our house to buy 1,000 pairs from China. we don't have enough money to set up a manufacturing process down the road in South Whitley. Would love to. Like, it's a great idea, but the mechanics of that. So, like, we prayed about that and prayed about that and prayed about that. Yeah. And what we were led to do was, hey, this is just the beginning. They've got to be made somewhere. That's a job for somebody somewhere. So, you know, that was one of the things we definitely wrestled with in the whole getting them manufactured in China.
Yeah, but nothing's a perfect world. I mean,
no,
it's just a manufacturing idea, whether it's happening in China or anywhere, as long as it's done in a way that is not unethical.
You know what we made happen? In a country that persecutes Christians, how many boxes went through how many hands with scripture on it?
Scripture
how many shoes went through how many hands with scripture? How many logos got made embroidered with the cross and the fire?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's the thing that when I'm saying this, I guess I want to be careful when I'm saying it. I'm not saying that if you purchase something from China that you're going to hell. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, if you are purchasing things that are moving the needle in evil, right? Like giving somebody an opportunity to job, and God can use all things for his good.
Absolutely.
You know, and those things can happen through that. I mean, I wouldn't directly tie together this idea that you're getting shoes made in China, so there are people over there being murdered.
Right.
You know, because I don't think you can tie those things together, but you can absolutely tie together that there is an agenda on Disney to move things in a direction.
Absolutely.
There is an agenda on Netflix to move things in a direction. There's an agenda on certain things. Just absolutely, there's an agenda to get things done.
Yes, there
You're just going to have to make a decision. Am I going to am I going to support that agenda? That's what it comes down to. So that was my soapbox.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the shoes.
I mean,
that's the part that's important. That was my soapbox.
Yeah, and
but it makes perfect sense.
You nailed it. Because that is what our product is about. We want to be able to give the Christian community, the kingdom, an option to buy a shoe that actually goes back into the kingdom.
And as more people bring this up, as more people talk about it, just like you are pastors, as leaders of the church talk about this, it starts to renew the mind. We have all been propagandized and trained through our whole life to consume in this fashion, and we don't just. That doesn't just happen overnight where we can flip the switch and think about everything that we purchase. However, the more people hear it, the more they start to think about it. Now that you heard about Starbucks logo, you're going to think about it every time you see it, and you're probably going to go Google it after this.
One time it goes up, I'm traveling, and I don't go there very often.
Here's the propaganda. Here's the problem. Church tends to talk about seen evil and not hidden evil. You know, so we tend to focus on things that are like I can look at and it's evil and don't touch that and don't touch that. But the hidden evil of your purchasing decisions that nobody sees. Like the things that we're doing that you think aren't doing anything. So I always think it's the job of the church to uncover. Because, I mean, let's just be real. I've said this about kids that are orphans today. If Christians did what the Bible said, there would be no orphan. Period. There wouldn't be an orphan in the world if we did our job. If people would buy shoes that matter, look at how the kingdom, like if we would just make a conscious decision to do one or two things, the landscape would absolutely change. I mean, the whole landscape.
65% of the U.S. in 2020 identified as Christian. That's 213 million people out of 334 million people.
Right.
That's a pretty big majority. That's a super majority.
That's what I'm saying. So if they use their purchasing decisions, the things that they do for furthering the kingdom, there would not be a mission in want today. There just wouldn't. But that's why I can't, in my mind, I can't understand why would this just not be, did it be sold out all the time? You'd have no opportunity to keep it in because, I mean, I see Sarah's kid wear those
these
type
things?
of shoes. I mean, what are they called? Like the other that look like these? Oh, you're not allowed to say it?
I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to get sued. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
They're Hey Dudes.
Okay.
They're called Hey Dudes. And let's just talk about it.
I mean,
let's just be honest about it.
Them all the
so
time.
Hey Dudes, I did my research on Hey Dudes. Hey Dudes was a company that was started by a couple of guys. They sold out in 2018 to Kroc for 2.5 billion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then what happened was Kroc dumped a bunch of money into them as an advertising campaign, and now everybody in the world wears them, probably multiple pairs. And I know people that are like, yeah, they're so comfortable, they wear out so quick. But you just
that was actually, I didn't mean anything bad. That was the only reason I brought it up is her kids wear them.
Oh, they're all over.
And they fall apart. Like, it's like a 6-month shoe.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So just think if I'm not saying yours were going to wear out, but the point
they probably are.
is that
you can buy them again.
Just think of the number of purchases if just Christians would replace shoes like they do today.
And I feel like your point is like the problem is awareness.
Yeah.
And the more we speak about it, the more people are becoming aware of what your purchase is going toward. And so obviously Hey Dude is very woke.
Yes, and you go on their website, it's rainbows, and you can get your customized pair with the Black Lives Matter fist, and Kroc is the same way.
Like Crocs?
Crocs.
Yes.
Yeah. Crocs.
Good thing I hate those things.
And so that's the thing. People follow trends. They don't do the research to find out what their money is going to. So they're like, oh, my friend's wearing these shoes, so I'm going to get these shoes.
So here's a question for you, because I wonder about this. Even when people become aware as a Christian, do you care?
That's it.
That's
It's a hard
my
posture.
heart today says... This is the problem. You want to say what I think the problem in the church is? Even when you become aware, you don't care.
Yeah.
Because it costs you something to make a decision once you become aware. Because this is why I always tell them, here's what you should fear. There's one thing of ignorance, but God says when you become aware, there's a whole nother level of the way God deals with those who are aware and choose to do nothing about.
I would agree with you on that, but let me add to that.
Okay.
I believe it's deception. And first of all, the enemy comes to deceive. So people see the problem as too big. I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about it. But man, I go back to, I know in my heart that God is waking his people up right now. And we need alternate ecosystems. We need parallel economies. What would it look like if the Green family would start a new Google that was Christian?
Google? You're going to go against Google?
I mean, what would that look like though? That's the kind of parallel ecosystem or parallel economy that we need. And so, first of all, we got to be the solution. So until there's a solution for us to pick.
Well, let's start with this. This is what it takes with the courage of people like you. So before it ever gets to that, right? Before it ever gets to our decision to make a difference, it starts with the courage of people. And this is what I really want to focus on this. It focuses on the courage of people to listen to the Lord and act, which is what you did. So we have to raise up a generation, because a lot of people put it in the category of entrepreneur, risk taker. No, it's obedient Christian people. So
let me add to that. Man, grandma praying does just as much. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities of the air and powers.
But that is obedience. She's listening to the Lord, who says, this is my part. My part is my prayer closet. My part is my room.
So in the very beginning of sobriety, after I shot my TV, I got a whole bunch of these, wow, dude, are you okay? Hey, man, are you okay? And I would tell people, you know what, man, I'm sick of it all. I was in the Capitol on January 6th. So I really was at this low point. Yeah, I already talked to the FBI. Listen, the FBI came to my house, and when they knocked on my door...
Since we're talking about everything.
The FBI... Yeah, the FBI...
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Of like all these people that are getting raided.
You're going to love this. The FBI came to my door, and when I answered, I had probably 4 beers, and I just laughed. And I go, wow, you guys need to come in. We got a lot to talk about. Because I saw how it was a setup. And I had about 600 pictures and videos and all kinds of stuff. So I sat them on my couch for an hour and a half. And I told them that their system, your organization is corrupt, man. I love you. Love your boots on the ground. Your organization is corrupt from the top down, and the American people know it.
Right.
And I said it right there to these two agents. And, and I said, and they actually told me, your story's the story we're getting from everybody. And I said, that better be the official story that comes out from the FBI then. And 8 months later, it wasn't.
Right.
Now,
but again, courage of the people, the courage of the people.
So in the beginning of sobriety, I told people about shooting my TV. Hey, look, I'm going to start making changes right here where I can make a change. And then I'm going to start making changes right here. Yeah. And what I started doing was getting involved in locally. And I found myself speaking in front of a school board going, how did we get here? How am I reading these kind of words in books that my kid is reading in high school? How did we get here? And a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people don't even know there's pornography in your kid's school library right now. And that's where we need to get involved. Like, we can change it from the local level, and it can. That's the only way you can change it. You don't change it from the top down. You change it from the inside out. Just like Jesus changes our heart. And I think it's starting in the hearts of the people, and it's infectious.
Right.
So
I was just going to say on that, there's your answer, because if one courageous person stands up, it just takes one, and people start standing up. And we have for sure been seeing it in all the online preachers, teachers, leaders we've been listening to, in standing up for what is true and what we need to do on the ground in our communities. And they're also all starting with their products. Like,
yes.
Alan Didio has his own coffee brand.
Yeah.
There's
We've seen a number of those things lately.
Got the My Pillow guy. He's got coffee and slippers and whatever. And so in our own journey, we are starting to recognize others. Others are standing up, and it just takes one. And as soon as we're able to get into communities and talk about stuff like this, people are definitely sitting at home thinking, why does anyone else not see this? And so if they see someone stand up, they're like, oh, now I can stand up as well. Yeah. And so this is a time of the Great Awakening where people are starting to see there are people out there who think the same as I do, who have the same values and the same worries about what's going on. And people are definitely rising up. And we like in conversations sometimes we forget that we are actually seeing God reaching out, and people are being lifted up, and they're being called into positions right now, and a change is starting to happen.
Yeah, so I think that's the big thing for everybody that's listening. So this is the one thing I want people to hear. Like, it starts with obedience, and it starts with listening. Every great movement in the world is started with somebody heard and somebody obeyed. Right?
Before obedience, it starts with surrender.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
First of all, man, you got to surrender it to God.
Right.
I don't know how to tell people to do that. But I wish I could take what we've learned and what we have, the joy of the Lord that we have, the peace that passes all understanding. I wish I could box that up and just hand it to people. But I truly believe it starts with surrender. Like our path didn't start until we both came. When you come to the end of yourself, God's right there waiting for you. He's been there the whole time, but you got to come to the end of yourself first.
Yeah, and my hope is with all of these things that they're not trends, but they're movements.
Yes.
So the idea that, hey, you show up at a church, because you got to give us the model, because I still don't understand it yet, so you got to make sure everybody else gets this. But it's not that you just show up at a church and we sell shoes for one day, and everybody buys shoes, and then money goes to a mission. But how do you buy shoes every day, every month, not just in a moment, but how do we just continue to change so that it can continue to fund whatever those things are? So we got to get to that place where it's not like, hey, somebody showed up and made us aware for a moment. This is what happens, right?
Sure.
They came and they gave the speech and they made us aware from a moment. And so we gave in and we did, but the rest of our life hasn't changed. It needs to be a movement, not a moment, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that we've got to get to. So talk to us about, so we know that you got the shoes, but tell me how it works. How can people get them? Where does the money go? How does the whole process work?
So you can find us at yourkingdomfootprint.com.
Okay.
You can find us at YoDad.
Yeah, I forget the
On-
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah,
are different.
Facebook and
Yeah.
Facebook
When you get
is
him, you
at
can give him to
YoDad.
Nick, and he can attach
Yes,
him
Yeah.
to the...
yes, and we do have an online store.
Okay.
And we do ship. We live
Okay.
right beside the post office in South Whitley, so
Only
we
in
do
the-
ship as well.
Only in the US,
Only in the
though.
U.S. though.
Yeah, for
Right.
now.
For now.
Right.
And what we'd like to do in the future is say, we come to your church on Sunday. We play a little 3-minute video about what we are. We set up in a room after church, and people can come see us after church.
Right.
We'll have a few samples of different sizes. People can try on, decide what size they are. We can do the transaction, and then we'll fill the order through that week, and people can pick up their shoes the next week at church.
And then, so for the continuous movement part of it, we are working on getting like a promo code. So whenever anyone from your church in the future then buys from the online shop and uses the promo code, that amount, because we are sewing $20 of every church into the missions.
They're $55 a pair.
Yeah.
So $20 from every pair is going to go into missions. So if it's with your
so that
church,
goes
if people are buying from your church and they put in your coupon code, that $20 will go to your missions, whatever.
So the model is specific mission. So it's almost like the Day of Giving on Amazon, right? Like if you pick a thing and then it goes to that specific thing.
If there isn't a specific mission like a coupon code, or it's not with your church, it will go into YoDad and the next project that YoDad sows into. So the project.
So it can be either way. So so it can be a, for lack of a better term, for a minute, it can be a fundraiser.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for a movement,
it continues on.
It goes into YoDad. So somebody just goes online.
Yeah.
I love the shoes. I love the mission. I'm going to buy a pair, and then it goes into, and then they can come and see what you're supporting.
Yes, and if somebody sees it and they think, oh, wow, this would be a cool way to raise money for the mission at my church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reach
So would
out
that
to
be-
us and we'll come to your church.
So would
and
it
do
be the
same
first
thing.
line for you guys would be, we want to come to your church and sell to support the missions that you have? Would that be the first go at it?
I think it would be. And actually,
because we want to do that is for local, because we want to empower local churches, but not just the churches, because everyone who puts it on their feet, you're impacting the person. And so in that encouragement, like you sewed into YoDads, you're wearing your shoes every day, and every time you put them on, you put on the shoes of peace, which is part of your armor, and you are literally walking out your kingdom footprints, taking territory for God. And so that becomes a place of your war room, essentially. And so making an impact in someone's life, but then also knowing that you're sowing into either your own church's mission or missions that we are partnering with.
yes, and anything that doesn't go to a specific church's mission, we'll continue to update where we're sowing on our social media and all that kind of stuff. And for right now, we have one style. This style that we all have on here. And
Look at this. No cowboy boots today.
These are called the Cason.
The Cason. These are the Cason.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was one of my questions. Are you going to come out with a different style, different colors?
We hope to. Yes, we hope to. So, as soon as we get through this first batch, we're ready to order again. And we'll
Then
see
we'll
what
do
that
some
looks
his
like.
and hers, because
Yes.
we've had a lot of questions. They're like, are you going to bring out ladies type?
Yes.
We're like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, and this is a unisex, so we have sizes all the way from 13 men's down to 5.5 or something. So
Yeah. So, but the model would be, so once people see this, so it'll go out on Facebook, it'll go out on our YouTube, and, hopefully we get everybody to share it and get it other. So if they were sitting here listening to it, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
if they were out there and they see it and share it, if people see this, what they would want to do is get with you so you can come to a church and sell shit. No.
We were hoping maybe you'd be the first church because, like I said, we're still ironing this out. We're in the infancy stages of this, and although that's the model that we see starting to unfold, We have not done that yet.
Yeah.
So,
hey, we're all about experiments.
You're fishing
Right?
for a plan out of somebody that doesn't have a plan.
And so God threw us in the deep end when we spoke at my church, well, which is now our church, because we were just going to share about who we are and what we're doing and our testimony and everything. Didn't know that the mission we helped sow into, they were sharing their testimony. They just came back from the mission in Zambia right after we shared ours. And then when the sermon ended, everyone's like, okay, we need a pair of shoes. And we're like, oh, we're not like prepared to sell shoes today.
And that was South Africa side. So, you know, we took a suitcase full of shoes with us. Without the boxes, but we didn't ship an order to South Africa. So in this next go round, we'd love to ship an order to South Africa as well, because we have a number of people that are looking to.
And so another answer to your question, as we shared our testimony, everyone was like, okay, I don't even wear these types of shoes, but I just want to sew into you because I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we also have that option if someone wants to donate. Like we have a Partner Us button on the website, any amount that you want, and all of that, the 100% of what you sow will go into missions.
Right.
And so that awareness is, I thought it was amazing because everyone was like taken aback that we're selling a product, like everyone wears shoes, and it goes towards something that they believe in, and it like all our values align, and I don't know, it's like it broke open something to the people in South Africa. We're like, wow, I never thought that we could buy something that you would buy in any shop, but the proceeds go toward our church, our mission, or whatever. So
and I think it speaks to awareness of. When you think about it, $20 from every pair.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh. What if
a lot.
Think about the profit margin that some company gets on because this is really about the price point that the cheapest pair of Hey Dudes is. So you know, just to think about that and how I think it does raise awareness as well. Like you were saying, raise awareness of how much of your money goes to.
Listen, if you get me on my soapbox, you'll never get me off when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
well, I have a feeling that maybe we should have breakfast or something sometime because I as well have an awful lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah. So if you were going to give, so you can get with Jennifer and she can work through the whole make all the stuff happen of having a Sunday where we sell, because I don't think we're that far off from that. I mean, we did it with the Live Different shirts that we sold. We just marked them up and said, hey, we're going to give $5 back to a local mission. I don't know how many we sold.
That's awesome.
I think because I sold more on Sunday, so I think we're at like 471 shirts.
Yeah.
So I think it's like at $2,400.
Yeah,
or something
and
like
$5 a shirt. All of a sudden, you've got a couple $1,000s. How much laundry ministry does that do?
That's what I'm saying. So it was just.
That's awesome.
I mean, I think people get that concept. So I think this is even bigger, you know. And so you guys can get with Jennifer and she can help set that up, and we would for sure do that whenever you guys are ready. And
awesome,
because I think it would.
We're ready. Let's do it, Jennifer.
We have some back end stuff to do.
I'm with Jennifer on that. I have some back end stuff.
Right. So here you see exactly what really goes on.
We'll get to it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the talker.
The dreamers.
No, I don't do. Listen, Nick, you can put the camera on yourself. You guys have been here long enough.
I talk
about everything. Who
there.
gets it done? Not me. I don't.
Hey, somebody has to have the ideas. But
I have 4 billion of them.
Yeah. Somebody also has to keep you grounded as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily the Life Church staff has allowed me to dream and support for a lot of years. I mean, and that has been. I mean, Life Church is successful because the staff of Life Church has made it all happen. All I've done is dream.
That's exactly what God wants us to do with Him. He wants us to dream with Him. He wants to co-create with us as well. Like it, and that's beautiful, man. When people come into that realization of, wow, this was just a concept 11 months ago, and I'm holding this stinking shoe in my hand right now. Like, wow, I can't believe that it could happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're going to give parting words of wisdom, things for young men, young ladies, this is like, think about this.
I've definitely got something. So if it feels like it's too big for you, it's probably a God idea, you know? So if there's something that just keeps coming around, front of mind, man, go after it. Go after it. Pray on it. Give it to God. Ask people. Share the idea. Doors will start to open. This is a year of the open door, man.
Yeah.
Like, look for it. Yeah. And we do have the keys. We got the keys to open those doors. So... Yeah. I would just encourage people that if you've got an idea, if there's something that keeps coming back around to you, man, this is your time. You were born for such a time as this. Go after it, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I just add to that, dream bigger. Like, if you can dream the biggest dream that you can even think
Ephesians
up, imagine.
3:20.
Like, God has so much more for us, way more than we can think, dream, or imagine. So, like, never stop dreaming. Keep on dreaming. Because we were created in the image of the Creator. He wants to create with us. That's what this whole thing is about. And so, like, just keep on dreaming.
And I mean, that's so, like, I love that. Because I've always said that you dream when you're young and the world crushes your dreams and you stop becoming a dreamer, And so... for all of our staff, of like, I know you've went through a lot of years of, because when you're young, you're dreaming about everything. You're out there making things, and you think anything can work, and then all of a sudden you get into the world, and everybody's like, stop being a dreamer, stop living in the clouds, live in reality. And I'm like, no, let's live in what God's world is like, and let's dream about
the kingdom
the
economy.
Yeah,
let's live in the kingdom economy.
Let's dream things differently, And I think the answer to changing the world is not just remaking the wheel, it's dreaming something new.
It's right here, man. The answer to changing the world is right here inside of all of us. All of us. And the glory of God's in the mirror, man. He says it. The glory of God. If you want to see the glory of God, look in the mirror, because it's right here inside of all of us. And I think that's profound, and I think I just want everybody to understand that.
No, I know.
You got the power.
We'll continue to pray that this is just another step in awakening, another step in awareness, another step in being able to figure out how to remake the economy when it comes to, it shouldn't be, for those who are out on mission and doing things, it shouldn't always be about, I can't raise enough support. Like, our purchasing decisions should support those types of things happening. So we'll continue to pray, and obviously we'll be seeing you here at some point, right, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yeah, at some point, being able to make that happen. So
wonderful.
When this comes out, make sure that you like, comment, or share. That's really important for us, because every time you like, comment, or share, it goes on to other people's feeds and gives us the opportunity to get it out there. We'd love for you guys to reach out. So I'm sure, Nick, somebody will put out the links to be able to go to, the places to be able to do more research and be able to find what that looks like. And possibly coming soon, now I don't know what soon is, we'll be having the Sunday.
Soonish,
right? Having the Sunday where we'll have the opportunity to be able to share your story, and for you guys to have the opportunity to get some new kicks.
Awesome.
Right. All right.
Yes.
So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That was great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.